Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going over my top 5 defenses to stream for week number 6 of the 2023 fantasy football season, as well as giving you guys 6 additional honorable mention defenses to stream on the week. But before we can get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter or X, please do so at NotriousFantasy. And if you would like to check out my weekly rankings as well as get an answer to any of the questions you guys may have, a guaranteed answer, make sure you guys check out the Patreon, link in the video description or in the pinned comment for $7.50 a month. So without further ado, let's get into my week number 6 defenses to stream for the 2023 fantasy football season. We begin with my first defense to stream for week number 6, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Denver Broncos at home in Kansas City on Thursday Night Football. The Chiefs defense is currently owned in 49.6% of leagues on ESPN and 81.4% of leagues on NFL Fantasy. So I know that the Chiefs defense won't be available in a majority of leagues. As we get on into the other defenses to stream for today's video, they are much more readily available. So the Chiefs defense, week 5 up against the cold like Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. The Chiefs eat that W 27-20 with an assist from the refs, 3 sacks, 1 fumble recovery with 5 straight weeks with a fumble recovery and 20 points allowed. Now, I wouldn't put the Kansas City Chiefs defense in the category of elite, right? I don't think they're one of the best defenses in the NFL, but I also wouldn't put them in the category of straight up bums, right? Like defenses that couldn't stop a fucking nosebleed, right? So the Chiefs are a pretty average to above average defense. Again, they're not world beaters, but they're also not pushovers. This week, you do not need a world beater defense. You don't need the best defense in the NFL to stop Mr. Unlimited and the Denver Broncos offense. The Jets defense, week 5 up against the Denver Broncos in Denver. Again, I fully understand that the Jets defense is better than the Chiefs. They won 31-21. They had 4 sacks, 3 fumble recoveries, 1 safety, 1 touchdown, and 21 points allowed. Now, I understand that the Chiefs probably don't have the facilities to get 3 fucking fumble recoveries in 1 game, right? That is very much a lucky thing that happened for the Jets, and I guess maybe not as lucky when your defense is as good as the Jets, right? I get that the Kansas City Chiefs probably aren't gonna force 3 fumbles and recover them all, but they don't need to against Russell Wilson, right? The Chiefs will get a pick, right? They'll sack Russell Wilson a bunch because the offensive line there is a little bit of a disaster, and Sean Payton hasn't really figured things out. I get Russell Wilson definitely looks better than he did last year, where he was a flaming pile of dog shit, but at the end of the day, I think the Kansas City Chiefs defense looks incredibly strong on Thursday Night Football up against the Denver Broncos. Next up, we move to the Jacksonville Jaguars, going up against the Indianapolis Colts at home in Jacksonville, coming home from London Town, 15% owned on ESPN, 16.7% owned on NFL. Now, Anthony Richardson has allegedly suffered an AC joint sprain in the Colts win against the Titans on Sunday. Now, he is going to be getting a second opinion on that, so we'll see what happens regardless of how they figured out things went with the initial scan. But more than likely, it would be shocking if Anthony Richardson plays. So I think Gardner Minshew will be under center this week. Now, there are way worse backup quarterbacks than Gardner Minshew, so the Colts don't necessarily get fucked up the ass by the fact that they don't have Anthony Richardson, but obviously in terms of the Colts' upside with Anthony Richardson is significantly higher. Now, again, I won't necessarily rule out that Anthony Richardson can't come back, right? It wouldn't be impossible. We saw Derek Carr come back, which he shouldn't have. I think the Colts are going to be smart here with this, with their rookie quarterback, and preserve him, even if there's a slight chance that he could go. Now, the Jaguars up against the Buffalo Bills in London. They win the game 25-20, and that defense looked pretty good. I'm not going to say that they locked Josh Allen up, because Josh Allen had a pretty good game. But hey, they contained the Bills to score under 21 points, which, in my opinion, with how much everyone was giving the sucky, the gawk 9,000 to the Buffalo Bills offense after what they did to my Miami Dolphins last week, I think the Jags did a good job. 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery, and 20 points allowed. Now, I think the Jaguars are either in a similar tier defensively as the Chiefs or just a little bit worse, right? Again, the Jaguars aren't some dog shit defense, but they also aren't on top of the world like the old school Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the Titans defense up against the Colts. The Titans take an L in Indianapolis, 16-23. 1 sack, 23 points allowed. As we all know, the Titans are absolutely amazing against the run, which wasn't the case on Sunday as Zach Moss ran a fucking train on them. And they're terrible up against the pass. I think the Jaguars are a little bit more balanced. I think the Jaguars defense should be okay enough to start this week. Now, if you look at the matchups for week 6, it is very evident that you're really kind of scrounging through a pile of not the nicest pieces at the defensive position. Now, again, things could be way worse, right? There's way worse defenses than the Jacksonville Jaguars for fantasy, but this isn't like when you went into the season thinking, all right, I'm going to stream defenses. This isn't the ideal week for doing so. Again, you're still going to do so. The Jaguars should do just fine, but it's not like you're to be able to pick up, for instance, an honorable mention defense. Like, you can't just pick up the Bills, who are going up against a garbage Giants offensive line off the waiver wire in a majority of leagues. Moving to the number 3 defense to stream, the Houston Texans going up against the New Orleans Saints at home in Houston. 23.7% owned on ESPN, 9.9% owned on NFL. Now, I know a lot of people are thinking, Nick, the Houston Texans are fucking frauds, capital F frauds. They lost to the Atlanta Falcons. How could they do that? Classic trap game. Everyone and their mother thinks the Texans are going to whoop that ass. Everyone is down on the Falcons. The Falcons just got dogged out in London, baby. And then they come back home to Hotlanta and they beat the Texans. Wasn't really the Texans' defense's fault, though. It was 19-21 the Texans lose. 2 fumble recoveries, 21 points allowed for the Texans defense in that game up against the Falcons. Now, I know the Saints just destroyed the Patriots, 34-0. The Patriots defense, 2 sacks, 28 points allowed. But it wasn't really that impressive, in my opinion. Watching the game, I was like, oh my god, look how great the Saints offense looks. Oh my god, I'm scared of the Saints. My oh my. Shiver me timbers, right? That's not what I was thinking. I was just thinking, holy fuck, the Patriots are bad. We've seen the Saints play all year long. This is a team that prior to blowing the doors off the Patriots couldn't score over 21 points. So it's very plausible that the Texans hold the Saints under 21 points. And we know Derek Carr. Derek Carr is destined to throw 1 or 2 dumb interceptions here, and he's destined to probably get sacked a couple of times. The Texans defense is way better than the Patriots defense. I know that might sound crazy, but the Patriots defense is severely banged up. They have had so many main injuries. You know what's bad? When you have to trade for J.C. Jackson to come back home to New England. So the Houston Texans going up against the Saints. Again, I think the 34-point shellacking of the Patriots has more to do with the fact that the Patriots are a unmitigated fucking disaster than it does have to do with the fact that the Saints are all of a sudden some elite offense. Moving now to my 4th defense to stream, and this one might sound crazy. Some people might close out the video. The Las Vegas Raiders going up against the New England Patriots at home in Viva Las Vegas. 0.9% owned on ESPN, 1.4% owned on NFL. Now I know, Nick, how could you possibly talk about the Raiders being a defense to stream, Nick? Every single week you talk about how the Raiders defense is one ply. You wouldn't even wipe your ass with the Raiders defense. They're that bad. Yes, that is true. And yes, the Raiders are yet to play on Monday Night Football tonight, if you're watching this on Monday night, against the Green Bay Packers in Las Vegas. So we got to go back towards week 4 to see their defensive stats. And again, Raiders defense against the Chargers in LA, they weren't magnificent. They lose 17-24, 2 sacks, 1 interception, 24 points allowed. If Aiden O'Connell was a better quarterback, they probably would have beat the Chargers in that game. I think it's very possible that Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers walk the Raiders defense like a dog. I think it's very possible. And again, I get that the Raiders defense is not comparable to the Saints, who have an actually great defense in New England. They win 34-0, like I said, a absolute destruction of the Patriots organization. 2 sacks, 2 INTs, 1 fumble recovery, 1 touchdown, 0 points allowed. This is a Patriots team that is in some funk. And I'm going to be honest with you, even up against a bottom of the shelf, bottom of the barrel Raiders defense, I don't think they're going to be able to shake this funk off. Shake it off like fucking Taylor Swift, right? I don't think that's going to happen. I really think the Patriots are just screwed. I think Mac Jones, who keeps getting benched, I think he's just finished. This offense is bad. This offense is legitimately terrible. Ramondre Stevenson needs to be freed. Set this man free, because Ramondre Stevenson deserves better than this putrid dog shit franchise of the Patriots. Nick, the franchise of the Patriots, they're great. They've won so many Super Bowls. Look what they've been without Tom Brady. Without Tom Brady, they are complete dust. Now, maybe the Patriots are just trying to tank for Caleb, and then as a Dolphins fan, right, I'm dancing on the grave of the Patriots, and then Caleb comes out and fucking backhands me like Will Smith. That's possible. What I'm telling you right now is I don't think the Patriots are getting out of this funk. Something wrong. And I don't even think going against the Raiders is going to fix it. Now I know when you put the Raiders in your lineup, it's going to be gross. But I honestly think even if they get destroyed, like buttfuck tonight without the use of any lube, not even some spit, I still think the Raiders are a defense that I want to be streaming. Again, the Patriots offense is just that bad. But before we got into my final defense to stream for week 6, as well as some honorable mention defenses to stream, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends and our sponsor over at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to play NFL Pick'em in the whole entire universe, and they have a great offer for you guys today that we're going to be talking about in just a couple of seconds. If you are new to Underdog Fantasy and don't know how the Pick'em works, it is incredibly simple. All you need to do is make at least 2 picks here to make a Pick'em card. For tonight, we got the Green Bay Packers at the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to go ahead and say that up against a not-so-hot Raiders defense, Jordan Love throws for higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. You need to have at least 1 player from Green Bay and at least 1 player from Las Vegas. We are going to go with Josh Jacobs having yet another great game with higher than 73.5 rushing yards. If both of those picks hit, you will get 3 times your entry fee. If you want to do 3 picks, it is 6 times, 4 picks is 10 times, and 5 picks is 20 times your entry fee. Obviously, all of the picks have to hit if that is the case. If you are new to Underdog Fantasy, they have a great offer for you guys today. If you click on the link in the video description or use promo code Notorious, you will get a first match deposit bonus of up to $100. So if you deposit $100, they give you an additional $100, $50, additional $50, $25, additional $25. The minimum deposit on Underdog is $10. You have to live on one of these states that is on your screen right now. And if you have a gambling problem, please make sure that you call 1-800-GAMBLER. Back on into things. Final defense here. Gonna have to say a prayer to the football gods above with this one. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Seattle Seahawks. 22% owned on ESPN, 46% owned on NFL. Bengals week 5 up against the Arizona Cardinals in a win, 34-20. 3 sacks, 2 INTs. Now they've had 1 or more interception in 3 of 4 games. 1 fumble recovery, 1 touchdown, and 20 points allowed. Now, the Seahawks were on bye in week 5, so we must hop back into the time machine, go back to the future, Marty McFly style, hop in the DeLorean to week 4 to see their last opponent's defensive performance. That was prime time Giants versus Seattle in MetLife. The Giants, 8-L, a fat L, 3-24, 2 sacks, 18 points allowed. Part of that game was without Geno Smith. Part of it was with my boy Horsecock Drew Lock. I don't think the Seattle Seahawks offense, by any means, is bad. But the Bengals defense has started to actually look good. Now, again, I'm not here to glaze, to do tricks on it, because they beat the fucking Cardinals, right? You're supposed to beat the Cardinals. Basically, everyone beats the Cardinals except for the Cowboys. Even the Commanders can beat the Cardinals, right? Now, again, this isn't some type of me trying to shit on the Cardinals. The Cardinals are very impressive compared to what I thought they would be this season, right? You would never have thought they would have beaten the Cowboys. You would never thought they'd even be competitive in these games. Like, against the Bengals, they never really shut the door on the Cardinals. Like, the Cardinals offense was still fighting. And it was impressive. It was fun to watch. But this Bengals defense has greatly improved from week 1. And if this Bengals offense, if Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty is really back like we saw last week, then there's reason to believe that when the defense isn't on the field the whole fucking game because Joe Burrow can't move the ball 3 feet, then the Bengals defense should be better, right? That makes sense when the defense isn't tired, beaten and battered all game long because the offense moves the ball at the pace that old people fuck, which is incredibly slow, and Bengals defense will be better. So again, I'm not banging the drum for the Bengals, but again, this week, things are tight at defense, right? Hard to find a defense that I really like. So if push comes to shove, if I'm real down bad, a lot worse options than the Bengals. Now we move on into our honorable mentions. If you haven't enjoyed this video thus far, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button down below. The honorable mentions, defenses 1 through 6, the Buffalo Bills versus the Giants. Now again, these are all defenses that would have been a part of the video if they weren't owned in so many leagues. There are going to be leagues where all of these defenses are potentially available if you're in a smaller league or maybe a league where, some of my leagues, there's people that hold 2 defenses, 2 kickers. So it's slim pickings, right? The Bills versus the Giants. The Giants' offensive line is legitimately a wet paper towel. Tyrod Taylor might be the starting quarterback in this game. That might actually be better than Daniel Jones, but still, the Bills' defense, I know, didn't play the best in London. They're banged up severely, but I still think they get it done against the Giants. The Eagles at the New York Jumbo Jets in MetLife. We talked about this last week. While they did beat the Denver Broncos, Zach Wilson didn't look the same as he looked up against the Chiefs, and I think the Eagles, even a defense that hasn't lived up to my expectations, will be able to exploit that. The New Orleans Saints at the Houston Texans. I don't necessarily love the Saints defense this week. I still think that CJ Stroud in that offense has a bunch of juice, but the Saints defense has been really good, and I would believe this would be a lower scoring game, even if I still think CJ Stroud looks great. Miami Dolphins versus the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers offense, Adam Thielen was hitting his fucking emote in the end zone after it was like that meme where the team Chris Paul is on, the Suns, they're down by like 1 million. Chris Paul hits the dagger 3. Suns are down by only 30 now, right? They cut into the lead. That's basically what Adam Thielen did. The Dolphins defense, again, they're still not fantastic. As a Dolphins fan, I hope they get better, but the Panthers are fucked. The Dolphins are 14-point favorites right now. The Ravens at the Tennessee Titans. Ravens just kind of got bent over by the Steelers, but again, we kind of all knew that that was going to be a closer game than it should have been on paper. The Ravens are miles ahead of the Steelers, but that's just not how things go in the AFC North. And then the Detroit Lions at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs coming off of a bye. The Bucs have greatly exceeded expectations, but this Lions defense has been humming over the last couple of weeks, and I think they're going to be able to get to Baker Mayfield in that game. So again, my normal defenses to stream: the Chiefs versus the Broncos, the Jags versus the Colts, the Texans versus the Saints, the Raiders versus the Patriots, and the Bengals versus Seattle. Again, the honorable mentions are the Bills versus the Giants, the Eagles at the Jets, the Saints at the Texans, the Dolphins at the Panthers, the Ravens at the Titans, and the Lions at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did end up enjoying, make sure you hit that like button down below, as well as hitting that subscribe button. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter or X, please do so at NotriousFantasy. The waiver wire video is going to be coming at you guys a little bit later. And tomorrow, Tuesday, running back and wide receiver start or sit decisions. I love you guys all so much. We are very, very close to 29,000 subscribers. I greatly appreciate every single one of you. Let's eat a W yet again in week number 6. Have a great one. And as always, good boy.